With the monumental overturning of Roe v. Wade, the landscape of the last 50 years of women's reproductive rights has changed overnight. There are a lot of questions, including, is gay marriage now threatened? Could someone in Minnesota face charges if they help someone from another state to get an abortion? Those are just some of the questions I put to a constitutional law professor, David Schultz. Take a look.
Professor Schultz, thank you so much for joining us. A lot of questions that a lot of people have about this.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
One thing people are asking is, can this ruling by this court overturning Roe, can that be overturned?
Yes, it can be, because the court can always change its mind. And occasionally over time, we know that the Supreme Court has reversed itself. It would be a little unusual to have the court issue an opinion, reverse it, and then reverse itself again. But it's theoretically possible to do that. And it could happen in the future, although with the current alignment of the Supreme Court, I don't see it likely in the near future.
Let me ask you this. A lot of concerns about the concurring opinion from Justice Thomas, which said he wanted reviews now of a 1995 law that allowed for contraception. A lot of people here are heads are spinning over that one. A 2003 law that allows for gay relationships. And of course, the later law that's happened just a number of years ago that legalizes gay marriage. What are any of those realistic possibilities that could happen, those things being reversed?
They are, because what's important to understand here is that Roe versus Wade is connected to a series of other prior decisions by the U.S. Supreme Court. Decisions about the right to privacy, decisions about, let's say, bodily autonomy. And the logic that was used today, even by the majority opinion that overturned Roe versus Wade, that logic could be used to go after Supreme Court rulings that basically constitutionalized same-sex marriage, that struck down laws that banned the use of contraception for married couples and unmarried couples, and for a host of other decisions that it's created.
The bottom line is, are these things vulnerable that we've,
Yes.
The use of contraception, gay marriage, even gay relationships, that 2003 Supreme Court ruling codified, allowed gay relationships to happen legally, that they couldn't be, somebody couldn't be prosecuted anywhere in the country for having a gay relationship. You're saying all of those things theoretically could be vulnerable because of this ruling?
Absolutely correct here. Even though the majority opinion tried to say we're only talking about abortion, the logic of the reasoning in the case sets up a challenge to all those other, let's say, fundamental rights or privacy rights that most of us were expecting to be protected. And that's important to understand, because remember, people never thought Roe was going to be overturned, and it was. So now all these other opinions that establish other rights, they are also equally vulnerable.
Okay. Another thing happened this past week, and a very important decision involving expanding the Second Amendment. This Supreme Court, this same court, expanded the rights of the Second Amendment, expanding the right to conceal and carry. It got so overshadowed by this. That's a major, major ruling. Is this Supreme Court just getting started?
Potentially, yes. We have a 6-3, a conservative majority at this point that has a particular ideological bent and approach to the Constitution. They seem very emboldened at this point. They have, in the last few years, reached many decisions on issues such as affirmative action, the First Amendment, guns, of course. We have now on abortion, and perhaps there could be other cases down the line. And the difficulty is, how do you check a Supreme Court that may be out of control? Remember, all of us learned in school checks and balances, separation of powers. Right now, there seems to be an imbalance in that whole idea of checks and balances right now.
Let's talk about Minnesota and some of the things that we're hearing from Minnesota leaders, including again today from Governor Tim Walz, also this past week from the Attorney General Keith Ellison. They are saying that the state of Minnesota will make it their business to make sure that anyone coming here from another state, even if they go back to that and has an abortion here and it goes back to their state, that they will not be prosecuted, and that no one from Minnesota who helps somebody from another state get an abortion will be prosecuted, as would be the case in other states like Texas under their laws. Is that going to, I mean, can Governor Walz and the Attorney General do that?
Yes, they don't even have to take any action right now. What I mean by that is that because abortion is still legal in Minnesota, because it's legal to help somebody get an abortion here, another state doesn't have jurisdiction or authority to be able to enforce its laws in another state where such action is permitted.
These Supreme Court justices are there for life. What are your thoughts about the fact that the 3 Trump appointees are all in their 50s, which in Supreme Court terms is a baby?
Yeah, it is. At this point, what we're looking at is a court that for the foreseeable future is going to probably be a conservative court at this point. And one of the things that those who are opposed to abortion did very smartly over the last 50 years. They worked long-term, played a long-term strategy to get the right justices on the court to eventually get the opinion they wanted on Friday. And these are also justices who have expressed a variety of concerns on a whole bunch of other social issues. And so we could very well see a court taking this type of ideological approach for decades to come.
All right. Well, Professor David Schultz, as always, such a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you.